Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Azuma for our next installment of how to play this ship better. So, without further ado, let's get into our commander. I'm running Isiroko Yamamoto. We are Nikolai Kuznetsov and Victor F. Einstein for inspirations. If you do not have Einstein, maybe run Madden or something like that. It's not the best, but it's something to help with the turret traverse because that's the biggest issue with this ship. We'll go over some other things, but I'll get into it. But beyond range, igniter, punch through, fixated, fully packed. Pretty straightforward build. Nothing too crazy, right? As for the actual loadout, aiming systems, steering gears, you can go with propulsion mod if you want, but it's just a matter of preference. I like being able to dodge. Concealment to give you a little bit of an edge and being able to get to spots on a flank. And, of course, main battery mod 3. And, again, this does not help with your traverse issues, unfortunately. So, you could maybe go with something else, but this actually, as you do damage, increases your or decreases your reload. So, personally, epic reload or main battery mod if you're going to do it. If you're not going to have the epic version of this, at least, then I would maybe forgo that for something else. Maybe AA guns or, even more dispersion, but that's up to you. Okay? So let's get into the problems with this ship. Like I said, the biggest issue that I have with this ship, and you can see I am running sonar and I am running catapult fighter, and of course the heals. The biggest issue with the ship is the reload and the 180-degree turret turn time. Good lord, which with this build is 34.3 seconds. Okay, without the Einstein on there, it's like 40 seconds. It's absurd how bad the 180-degree turn time is on these turrets, but they are very nasty guns, as we will demonstrate. Maneuverability is another one that's a bit sus. Even with the rudder on this thing, we're still 9.9 seconds. That's battleship almost. Like, it's that bad. And then, of course, turning radius to prove it is as bad as an Iowa class. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're trying to maneuver, especially if you're committing to a turn. Okay? This thing isn't so bad for, like, juking people out. But when it comes down to committing and needing to get a full turn off, that's where you get into trouble, much like pretty much every other supercruiser in the game. The problem is, as you guys will see, we do have a 10.9 kilometer concealment, which is not bad, not great, but not bad. It is a supercruiser. It's kind of be expected. You could get that better if you went with some concealment perks. I get that. It's all about how you prefer to build it, but this is how I got it built. All right, so I want to show you guys my stats in the ship to show, like, it's not a carry ship, okay? The ship struggles in carrying because of its weakness to battleships, specifically. It also is pretty weak to other supercruisers, just because it doesn't have the armor. So when you're going up against things like, I don't know, like the Russian supercruisers or anything like that, like Petro especially. Petro will tear this thing up if you're not careful. But you just gotta keep that in mind. Okay, you have things that you are weak against, and this thing struggles against specific classes. It also struggles against DPM HE from heavy cruisers specifically. Light cruisers are meh, but at least heavy cruisers, anything with 7-inch guns and above, it tends to just wreck this thing. 5-inch guns, it can handle. 6-inch guns, it can handle relatively okay, but anything bigger than 6-inch guns, the shooting HE will just shred this ship. So you got to be careful there. But as you can see, 78 battles played. I feel like I've played more battles than that in the Azuma because I love the ship. I just don't play it often because, again, it's tier 7 and it is pretty weak when it comes to fighting battleships. But I'm going to show you guys how you can kind of get away with certain things. It's all about positioning, as usual. But still, 55% win rate, lower than most of my ships, but higher than most people would probably expect out of an Azuma. Main gun accuracy is fantastic, 48%. It's ridiculous. Okay, as you can see, my average damage for a cruiser is actually pretty decent, 87,000. So you can see that this thing punches. It really does. It punches hard. Average XP is pretty decent as well at 1786. Doesn't do a lot of spotting, obviously, because, again, you don't want to be the one at the front. And then the potential damage is higher than most cruisers, but lower than my battleship. So pretty much where you'd expect. Okay? Armor. This is what gets people in trouble with this ship. And it gets me in trouble a lot because I forget about one particular thing. So, first of all, everybody knows it was buffed and given a 27mm bow. What does this mean? Well, 27mm is enough to armor yourself against and angle against anything 15 inches or less. So anything 15 or 14 or anything less than 15 inches you can angle against with everything on the ship because you got 27mm everywhere, okay? However, it also has a 30... Yeah. Where'd it go? I saw it. I saw it and I skipped it. I'm a dumb. 32mm belt at the front. But it is only at the front, and this gets me in trouble all the time. Because I, in my head, think that this belt goes the entire length of the ship, and it does not. And why is that a problem? Well, if anything with 16 inches or larger guns shoots at you, and you over-angle, guess what's hiding behind this nice little placard of... Look at that citadel, okay? Yeah, that's a lot of citadel sticking up. Okay, so if anything overmatches that 27mm, you're about to have a bad day. Okay? Trust me. So keep that in mind. So anything 16 inches and above shoots at you, get the heck out the way. All right? Unless, of course, it's extremely close range and they shoot at your bow, in which case you can probably get away with it. But yeah, the fact that you're 27mm everywhere leaves you very, very vulnerable to 16 inches and larger, and that's what gets me in trouble because, again, that 32mm of belt plating is only at the front. It does not go the length of the ship, and you will be punished harshly for mistakes. Okay? So with that being said, let's take a look at this thing, and then we'll get to some spicy clips and then to the gameplay. So, I personally love the Azuma. You guys know this, but... yeah, it is one of those ships that you have to learn to play. It is not an easy ship to play because it takes positioning, it takes timing, it takes patience. A lot of people just don't play the Azuma very well. So that's why I usually don't recommend when people ask me what they should get out of the Global XP ships. I don't recommend Azuma for most people because it's a hard ship to learn, but it is very rewarding once you do learn it. So with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are going to be on Sleeping Giant. And we are in the Azuma. And I'm going to show you guys what this thing is all about. Now, you guys have already seen the strengths of the ship. I've talked about the weaknesses of the ship. Again, you guys know that if you go up against a battleship, you've got to be careful, especially anything with 16-inch guns and larger. Now, we are going to get a very fun game for you guys here to showcase what this ship can do in positioning, and we get to embarrass some people in the process, which is always a good thing. And I hope you guys enjoyed the little intro montage of just big hits that I get with this thing. These were all done in games leading up to getting a video. Played this thing on 2 separate days. I played it a couple weeks back. Basically, I got into a little bit of a tiffle in the comments section with somebody who was like, hey, the Azuma's terrible. It's an awful ship. Nobody should ever play it. It's awful. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's unique. Okay, and I've always said that. Like, if you go back to my very first game in the Azuma, you can see me kite for the entire duration of a game, using HE and AP to absolutely ruin a team and put up over 150,000 damage in like my first game ever in the ship. So like you can tell like right away, I enjoy the ship, but most other people didn't. And then it ended up getting a buff, and it's been even better ever since. So personally, I love the ship. Even despite its weaknesses, I love the ship. It's just very difficult to carry in because of those situations where you're going to inevitably end up putting yourself in a situation where you have to fight a battleship up close and personal. And if that battleship knows what he's doing, he has every advantage as long as he has 16-inch guns and above. If it's something with 15-inch guns, it's really not that big a deal. But anything with 16-inch guns and above, we already showed the weakness. Like, that is a big problem with this ship. And then, like I said, the DPM cruisers can be a problem too, but more often than not, DPM cruisers tend to give themselves up to being shot with AP while they're trying to get all their guns to bear. So I don't usually struggle too much with DPM cruisers, but I know it is a thing that this thing can be hurt by because you just don't have that reload. You just don't. It's not particularly good at countering destroyers either. It can, obviously, if the destroyer's a moron. I mean, you load HE in this thing and absolutely murder destroyers up close. I mean, easily taking over half their hit points, if not just outright death striking them if you get a good RNG roll. But it's pretty obvious to me early on in this game that nobody is coming out to this flank. You'll notice I'm using my plane to try to spot, and I do end up spotting the enemy ships, and they're over on my right. Now here, I'm going to try to get a cheeky shot over the island. Obviously, I take the shot. Don't really get a chance to lead the New Orleans, so don't really have much hope of anything actually connecting with that New Orleans. But we're not getting anything on this flank, so what do? We move into the cap, and we set up the crossfire. Crossfire between this cap and Charlie Cap over there. Now, we see the Wichita's here, so we know he's there. We know that there's a battleship here that's a Colorado. We know there's a New Orleans here. So we have to be careful. We don't want to put ourselves in a bad position. But New Orleans is angled away from us. We've got an absolutely juicy look at him, and that's going to be a Citadel. Unfortunately, I only hit the one shell, but it was enough to do all of the damage, but leave him with just enough to get away. You can see, I see the Colorado over there, and I'm thinking, okay, can I lob this island? One of the other things that you don't notice about the ship until you actually get used to it is that it has higher velocity guns than you'd expect, meaning that you could Citadel even battleships at ranges that you wouldn't expect, but coming at the cost of you can't really lob islands. So unlike a lot of cruisers, you can't really use this thing behind islands a lot because you just can't lob them. But look at this Vladdy's broadside. This makes me salivate. If you've ever seen my very first video on the Azuma, you know why I'm salivating right now, because Vladivostok... Oh, also, I have a short of the Azuma going 1v1 against the Vladivostok and showing the Vladivostok that you might overpin me. I'm not going to overpin you. But we get a good look here. We get around the island to give us a chance. But now I've got to be careful because I have 2 battleships with 16-inch guns looking at me. So we got to be careful. Colorado and North Carolina. North Carolina is terrifying. Colorado, not so much because he is not paying attention to me at all. North Carolina clearly is. So we have to be careful. Now remember what I said. You got to remember that this thing only has that belt at the front. So you want to stay at a shallower angle than you'd expect. Like, I keep getting myself in trouble by trying to angle this thing, and against 16-inch guns, it doesn't do you any good to angle. They're just overmatched. That's the whole point of overmatching. But this next shot should have been absolutely devastating for this North Carolina, but he gets away with it. We get 3 pins, but we don't even Citadel him, which is pure sadness in my opinion. And here we actually, there's no chance that we get the rear gun turret on target here, so there's no reason for me to be this angled again. But while the North Carolina is trying to like bow tank us, I'm thinking, okay, well maybe I can get a shot into the superstructure or take a shot at the Italian battleship in the background. But I don't know what this North Carolina is going to do, but it looks like he's about to turn all the way out, and that's when I see the torpedoes coming, so I'm like, okay, well, he's probably dead. Let's just go ahead and get a little bit of damage by chunking his superstructure here. So that's what we do. We shoot a superstructure, and we get 5 penetrations. This thing is absolutely surgical at times, and that is my biggest thing that I enjoy about it. It is stupid how accurate this ship can be at times. And I'm not trying to, like, bait you guys into doing... I'm serious. This thing is stupidly accurate at times. Like, I'm talking about putting every shell right where you aim it. Like, I'm talking about being able to look at weak spots on particular ships and target those weak spots. Whereas, most of the time, you just try to put the shells near the weak spots, right? Hope for the best. This thing is fully capable of being an absolute tack driver, okay? Doesn't always give you that. It's still Japanese at the end of the day. It's going to troll you, but more often than not, you are going to get some stupid accuracy out of this thing, and you will be surprised how often the AP on this thing will Citadel battleships that are dumb enough to give you a broadside. Even at medium range, 12, 13, 14 kilometers, people think they're safe going broadside, and you will blap the piss out of them, okay? So... do not spam HE in this thing. Will it work? Absolutely. Is it a feasible option? I guess. Obviously, that was going to be a bad shot. As soon as I took it, I knew that was going to be terrible. But what we are doing next is baiting this Vladdy forward. I want him to come around the corner. This guy is totally sleeping on the Azuma, and he is about to get a crash course in why you just simply cannot do that. Now, I'm going to get absolutely robbed on this first shot. I ain't gonna lie. This first shot, I place it out there. It is awful. We get nothing. No Citadel on a broadside Vladdy at this range. Now, he did turn away, so we'll give him a little bit of credit, but watch the rear turret. Blam! 2 Citadels, 3 shells on target with just the rear turret alone. Why didn't the front guns do that? Huh? But he starts to turn back in, and that seals his fate, because he's done. There is no getting out of that sunshine, and down he goes. As we basically two-shot a Vladivostok. Now here... Wichita, to my surprise, smart enough to have armor-piercing loaded, not smart enough to realize that I've been shooting armor-piercing and just absolutely murdered a freaking Vladivostok. Now, he is trying to change course, but I can see that too, and this is not going to end in your favor. Bonk. But Spartan, you can't Citadel to Wichita. Wichita doesn't have a Citadel. Where have I heard that one before? Seems to work pretty fine for me. I guess you just gotta know where to aim. It's got a funky Citadel on the Wichita that a lot of people get confused by. It's low in the front and has a little spot towards the back of the superstructure that sticks up just a little bit further than the rest of it. So if you want to shoot and Citadel a Wichita consistently, you want to hit towards the back of the superstructure. Just at the rear point of the superstructure in front of the rear turret. Okay? So... just a little tip for killing Wichitas. But we have absolutely run over this entire team at this point. We're at 130,000 damage. We got 8 Citadels. We've captured bases. We've done everything that could be possibly asked of us. Now, I could have stayed here and captured this base, but I'm not going to lie. I was kind of feeling it, and I wanted to get some more damage here. And I know I can kill this Veneto, so we aim a little bit high, trying to get as many pins as possible. He takes a little bit of damage, and we finish him off. Now, Colorado's here. We know the Destroyer's here as well, because we've seen the torpedoes. We know that he was close by. His last known was right here around the corner, so guess what? I'm going to go ahead and start my sonar, just in case. We're located. We're the closest thing to the Destroyer. We know that. Colorado over angles to us. I thought I had him dead to rights here. I get robbed once again, leaving just enough for somebody else to get the kill. And then I go ahead and load up HE. Why is that? Because I'm anticipating having to fight the Destroyer real soon. And shocker, we get him detected. Who'd have seen that coming? Thank you, Sonar, for being able to penetrate through an entire island to be able to spot a Destroyer. I don't know why it works that way. Radar and sonar should not be able to spot through islands. Doesn't make any sense, but it's been a thing in World of Warships forever. So, it's just weird. But either way, we've got him lit up for our team, so we're at least helping in that sense. And he's trying to run away from me, rightfully so, but he doesn't realize there's another cruiser right on the other side of the island, so he's got nowhere to go. He's pinched. This is the beauty of pushing and like flanking people. Like, we've got people that are capable of flanking. Now, he starts to turn away again, just in time to avoid getting smashed here. We still get a good shot, but of course, we don't land enough shells to finish him off. And our secondaries just can't quite give us that hit to finish it and get the kill. But 3 kills, 145,000 damage, and I believe it was 3,200 base XP. Not too shabby. We got a Confederate, High Cal, Dev Strike. You guys saw all the citadels and stuff, even on battleships at medium range even, let alone close range, but top of the leaderboard. Let me know what you guys think. Did you learn anything about the Azuma that maybe helps you guys here? Personally, I love it. I use almost solely AP in the ship, but there are definitely situations where you can switch over to HE, and the HE is phenomenal as well with a 30% fire chance. So, yeah, personally, AP is where it's at, but in the right situation, HE. And for the love of God, anything with 16-inch guns and above, do not over-angle trying to, like, get fancy. They will murder you. And with that being said, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.